Beelzebub, Baal Zevuv, or Beelzebub, occasionally known as the Lord of the Flies, is a name derived from a Philistine god formerly worshipped in Ekron and later adopted by some Abrahamic religions as a major demon. The name Beelzebub is associated with the Canaanite god Baal. In theological sources, predominantly Christian, Beelzebub is another name for Satan. He is known in demonology as one of the 7 deadly demons or 7 princes of hell. Beelzebub representing gluttony and envy. The dictionary Infernal describes Beelzebub as a being capable of flying, known as the Lord of the Flies, Lord of the Flyers, or the Lord of the Flying Demons. He is also referenced in the well-known novel Lord of the Flies by William Golding due to his ties to hell and the themes of the book. In Judaism, Hebrew scriptures. The source for the name Beelzebub in the book of Kings, 2 Kings chapter 1, verses 2 to 3, verse 6 and 16, written Baal Zevuv, Zevuv, referring to a deity worshipped by the Philistines in the city of Ekron. This passage notes that King Ahaziah of the northern kingdom of Israel, after seriously injuring himself in a fall, sent messengers to inquire of Baal Zevuv, the god of the Philistine city of Ekron, to learn if he would recover. Ahaziah fell through the lattice in his upper chamber at Samaria and was injured. So he sent messengers whom he instructed, "Go inquire of Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron, whether I shall recover from this injury." 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 2. Elijah then condemned Ahaziah to die by God's words because Ahaziah sought counsel from Baal-zebub rather than from God. Verse 3, but an angel of God said to Elijah the Tishbite, "Go and confront the messengers of the king of Samaria and say to them, is there no God in Israel that you go to inquire of Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron? Assuredly, thus said God, you shall not rise from the bed you are lying on, but you shall die." And Elijah went. The title Baal or Lord is a Ugaritic and Canaanitic term used in conjunction with a descriptive name of a specific god. Opinions differ on what the name means. In one understanding, Baal-zebub is translated literally as Lord of the Flies. It was long ago suggested that there was a relationship between the Philistine god and cults of flies, referring to a view of them as pests feasting on excrement, appearing in the Hellenic world, such as Zeus Apomios or Myagros. This is confirmed by the Ugaritic text, which depicts Baal expelling flies, which are the cause of a person's sickness. You see that a lot in exorcism movies. According to Francesco Saraceno of 1982, this series of elements may be inconclusive as evidence, but the fact that in relationship to Baal-zebub, the two constituent terms are here linked, joined by a function, NDY, that is typical of some divinities attested to in the Mediterranean world, is a strong argument in favor of the authenticity of the name of the god of Ekron and of his possible therapeutic activities, which are implicit in 2 Kings chapter 1 verses 2 through 3, etc. Alternatively, the deity's actual name could have been Baal-zevul, Zevul, Lord of the Heavenly Dwelling, and Baal-zebub, Vuv, could have been a derogatory pun used by the Israelites. The Septuagint renders the name as Baal-zebub, B-U-B, and as Baal-muyan, Baal of flies. However, Symmachus may have reflected a tradition of its offensive ancient name when he rendered it as Baal-zebul, B-O-U-L. In the Testament of Solomon, Beelzebul, B-U-L, not B-U-B, appears as prince of the demons and says that he was formerly a leading heavenly angel who was associated with the star Hesperus, the normal Greek name for the planet Venus or Aphrodite, as evening star. Seemingly, Beelzebul here is synonymous with Lucifer. Beelzebul claims to cause destruction through tyrants, to cause demons to be worshipped among men, to excite priests to lust, to cause jealousies in cities and murders, and to bring about war. The Testament of Solomon is an Old Testament pseudepigraphical work purportedly written by King Solomon, in which the author mostly describes particular demons who he enslaved to help build Solomon's temple, with substantial Christian interpolations. Rabbinical literature commentary equates the Baal-zebub of Akron as Lord of the Fly. The word Baal-zebub in rabbinical text is a mockery of the worship of Baal, which ancient Hebrews considered to be idol worship. Jewish scholars have interpreted the title of Lord of the Flies as the Hebrew way of calling Baal a pile of excrement and comparing Baal's followers to flies. In the Christian Bible, in Mark chapter 3, verse 22, 322, also the skull and bones number, the scribes accuse Jesus Christ of driving out demons by the power of Beelzebul, the prince of demons. The name also appears in the expanded version in Matthew chapter 12, verses 24 and 27, and Luke chapter 11, verse 15, and 18 through 19, as well as in Matthew chapter 10, verse 25. Jesus knew their thoughts and said to them, "Every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand. If Satan drives out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then can his kingdom stand? And if I drive out demons by Beelzebul, by whom do your people drive them out? So then they will be your judges. But if I drive out demons by the Spirit of God, then the kingdom of God has come upon you." Matthew chapter 12, verses 25 through 28. It is unknown whether Symmachus the Ebionite was correct in identifying these names. Zebul might derive from a slurred pronunciation of Zebub from Zebel, a word used to mean dung in the Targums, or from Hebrew Zebul, found in the 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 13, in the phrase Bet Zebul, meaning lofty house. In any case, the form Baal-zebub was substituted for Baal-zebul in the Syriac translation and Latin Vulgate translation of the Gospels, and this substitution was repeated in the King James Version. The resulting form Baal-zebul being most unknown to Western European and descendant cultures until some more recent translations restored it. Beelzebub is also identified in the New Testament as the devil, the prince of demons. Biblical scholar Thomas Kelly Sheen suggested that it might be a derogatory corruption of Baal-zebul, Lord of the high place, heaven, or high lord. In Arabic translations, the name is rendered as Baal-zebul. The text of the Gospel of Nicodemus vary. Beelzebul and Beelzebub are used interchangeably. The name is used by Hades as a secondary name for the devil, but it may vary with each translation of the text. Other versions separate Beelzebub from the devil. According to the teachings of the modern Gnostic movement of Samuel and Were, Beelzebub was a prince of demons who rebelled against the Black Lodge during World War II and was converted by Were to the White Lodge. In Christian tradition, Beelzebub is commonly described as placed high in hell's hierarchy. According to the stories of the 16th century occultist Joanne Wire, Beelzebub led a successful revolt against the devil, is the chief lieutenant of Lucifer, the emperor of hell, and presides over the Order of the Fly. Similarly, the 17th century exorcist Sebastian Michaelis, in his admirable history of 1612, placed Beelzebub among the three most prominent fallen angels, the other two being Lucifer and Leviathan. John Milton, in his epic poem Paradise Lost, first published in 1667, identified an unholy trinity consisting of Beelzebub, Lucifer, and Astaroth, with Beelzebub as the second ranking of the many fallen angels. Milton wrote of Beelzebub, than whom Satan, except none higher, set Beelzebub, is also a character in John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress, first published in 1678. In 1409 to 1410, The Lantern of Light, an anonymous English Lollard tract often attributed to John Wycliffe, provided a classification of the princes of hell based on the 7 deadly sins and associated Beelzebub with the deadly sin of envy. However, Sebastian Michaelis associated Beelzebub with the deadly sin of pride, one of the other 7 deadly sins. According to Peter Bensfield in his 1589 treatise on confessions by evildoers and witches, Beelzebub was the demon of gluttony, whereas Francis Barrett asserted that Beelzebub was the prince of idolatry. Not only had the Pharisees disparagingly accused Jesus of using Beelzebub's demonic powers to heal people in Luke chapter 11, verses 14 to 26, but others have been labeled possessed for acts of an extreme nature. Down through history, Beelzebub has been held responsible for many cases of demonic possession, such as that of Sister Madeleine de Mandalox de la Palude, Axen province in 1611, whose relationship with Father Jean-Baptiste Gaufridi led not only to countless traumatic events at the hands of her inquisitors, but also to the torture and execution of that bewitcher of young nuns, Gaufridi himself. Beelzebub was also imagined to be sowing his influence in Salem, Massachusetts. His name came up repeatedly during the Salem witch trials, the last large-scale public expression of witch hysteria in either North America or Europe, and afterwards. The Reverend Cotton Mather wrote a pamphlet titled Of Beelzebub and His Plot.